Hello ladies, and welcome back to Chengi's World. Thank you so much for joining me to my channel. Welcome to Chengi's World. I am Chengi and you precious one are my world. Thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you who are coming back again for the 100th time, the second time, just revisiting my channel, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your likes, your comments, your shares. You know I love you. Thank you so much for being here. So today, ladies, is Women Ask Wednesday. And before I go and tell you what today's question is, make sure you subscribe if you're new to this channel, like, share, comment, and hit the notification bell for any updates for when I update some new videos. The weather is great, so make sure you join me on Instagram and Facebook, because when the sun comes out, I am ready to play and take some photos. You know what I mean, And I love doing a little bit of fashion and makeup, so definitely hook up with me on Instagram and Facebook at Chengi's World on both handles. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so today's question comes from the lovely Linda. And Linda asks, "Hi Chengi, my name is Linda. And I was wondering, how do you tell your partner, stroke boyfriend, that you are celibate?" Love it! Thank you so much for the question. So, oh my gosh, I love this question because it is obviously close to my heart. As you all know, I've been on this journey myself for a while now. Very proud of myself. But I loved it because she said your boyfriend partner, so I'm thinking, you kind of should know by now. But I asked her how long they've been together, and she said not so long, but he's just asked her to be his girlfriend. So I thought it'd be a great subject because we can talk about this in a broader sense as well. For those of you who are celibate, considering being celibate, this will be really, really good for you, because it will help you navigate the realm. I think sometimes we sort of put out there celibacy is the best way forward. Isn't it wonderful? Yay, yay, yay. And every pastor's happy and every leader's happy and we're happy because we think that there's a solution. There's one cut and dry solution to everything. And as we know, here on Chengi's World, ain't no such kind of party. Everything, no matter how good or bad, has its danger zone. No matter how pure, no matter how wonderful, you have to understand the parameters of the sphere that you're in. So I'm going to answer her question, Linda's question, and I'm also going to sort of just answer the real sort of bigger question around celibacy, because this is something that is quite like, you know, when do you tell somebody that they're not going to get laid? Now, celibacy, as far as I am concerned, celibacy can mean a few things. It can mean you're not going to have sex until you are engaged, or until you are in a relationship. But for me, celibacy, and for most people that use the word celibacy, they're not going to have sex until they're married. That's in and around the meaning of celibacy. So we're going to assume that we're talking about no sex before marriage, aka celibacy. Hi. Okay, so I will do later videos to talk about why I became celibate, and I had a series that I had put out, but I wasn't proud of it. I wasn't happy with the way I did it. I wasn't happy with how I shared the information. So I'm going to redo that. But we will talk more about sex and soul ties and more complex things that happen psychologically, biologically, and spiritually to us when we have sex. So it's something that I will do a series on when I feel led to do so. But it is on the cards. So at every point, as a celibate woman, there are three men that will accept celibacy. There are three types of guys that will go with it. The first guy is gay. He is your guy on the DL, that is the down low. He is not ready to come out. I know a lot of people who are very close to me who were married to gay men who were using them as beards. These guys, and beards just pretty much means the woman that sort of you used to cover up your homosexuality. So these guys are going to be very open to celibacy. They're going to be really happy. They're going to be well chuffed. They're going to go with it, and you're going to love them even more because you're going to think, oh, he's prepared to wait for me. And you're going to think it's the great thing, that the best thing that's ever happened. If your gaydar is running at 0 or really low, you're probably not going to pick that up. And I can hear somebody saying, so how will you know if a guy's on the DL? Well, it kind of helps if you have a gay friend, because usually you can introduce them, and usually the gay, they can pick that up if your gaydar is a bit low. But failing that, my number one solution that has always worked for me is just to ask. I know it sounds like, what? But actually, you'd be surprised what asking, and this is how I would sort of phrase it. I would say, hey, so a bit of disclosure. So if I ask you an honest question, will you give me an honest answer? Sort of make it fun and playful. And if I promise to be non-judgmental, and if I promise not to judge you, and if I promise to ask an honest question and I promise not to judge you, will you give me a straight up answer? Usually, and I would never do this via text, never do it you want to be able to read body language here. So if you ask, usually, it's not something that happens to a lot of women. There are not a lot of gay guys that are doing this, but they're enough for it to occur to probably each woman at some point in her single sort of journey. So you can just say to him, have you ever slept with other men? I wouldn't say, are you gay? Because most of guys, like I said earlier, they're not going to want to be associated. They're not going to want to use that name. I had like a gay friend that I worked with, and he would, because, working in cosmetics, there's so many gay guys there. And there was a really camp sort of gay guy that worked, I think, for YSL. And he would be like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not like him. Do I look gay? Do I walk like I'm gay? He was always sort of vetting to see that he didn't come across that way. So it's really weird. I mean, he wasn't closeted, he was out there, but some gay men just don't like to look like they're gay, if that makes sense, or be associated with it. It's kind of weird. So if you say, have you ever slept with men, then it almost makes it kind of, have you tried it? Like it kind of opens that door for him to feel like, yeah, because sleeping with men is kind of sexual experimentation for these sort of guys, and in a society that we are, where women, people are experimenting sexually quite a lot, it sounds better, and he's more likely to say, yes, I have, or occasionally, or whatever. And for me, if you have ever, unless somebody was molesting you, then God forbid that was the case, but if you voluntarily, let's put it that way, tried it, then you're clearly open to it. And as you guys know, one of my non-negotiables is you have to be 100% heterosexual, like not even on the spectrum. You've got to be like on the other side, like totally heterosexual. So that's, if you're, that all depends on who you are and your belief system and your grace and where you are in your journey, if you're okay with that, because some guys, that's just how it flows. The second type of guy that will accept celibacy is the guy that is sleeping with other women. So some guys will be like, okay, cool, she's celibate. I really like her. I like her vibe. I like what she stands for. I like what she represents. So what I'm going to do is still keep my side chicks. I'm going to keep my booty calls running. So I had a situation with a friend of mine, with a guy friend of mine who's married, and we were just having a chit chat, and his wife sort of told him that she was celibate until they got married. And I said to him, so how do you feel about that? Because I know he's a really sexual guy. Like, I know he's very, like, that way inclined. So I said to him, so, how did you handle that from a male perspective? How did you take it? And he said, to be honest, it really is what made me love her. It's what made me, I never thought I would ever get married again. So it's the second time getting married. And he said, I never thought I would ever get married again. But because she had that standard, I knew that this is a woman, if I was ever going to get married again, this is the woman that I wanted. But I wasn't going hungry. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he was honest enough. He had people to go to get his itch scratched. Put it that way. I don't know. But basically, that's the second guy that will accept celibacy. He will hold out for you to get to know you, but he will get his sex elsewhere. That's just the reality, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether that sits well with your conscience or not. That's just what's going down. Okay, I'm here to give it to you straight. Okay, then there's a third guy, and this guy is real, and he is for real. And this is a guy that is celibate for his own reasons. He has decided that he wants to be celibate. He wants to wait until marriage, until he meets somebody. And actually, if you go searching online, you will find there are quite a lot of these sort of guys who are celibate. I'm actually surprised at how many men there are that are celibate, that are genuinely waiting to meet their special partner and wait for their wedding day to have sex. For whatever reason, maybe they're just done with trafficking themselves, putting it out there. But usually it is based on a spiritual reason. It's their relationship with God, and they don't necessarily have to be Christian. They could be of any religion. I know different religions where men are celibate and choose to be celibate whilst dating. So it's not a scarcity thing. They are there, and they are doing it for pure respect for themselves, for their body, respecting the woman, really wanting to do things in a way that is honorable, and they're really on the market for real love. I advise men who are looking to settle down to hold off on the sex. And most relationship coaches would do the same, because it seems like, he can just sleep around. But I do advise that, a man who is holding out for somebody genuine and somebody real, that he would hold out for the sex. So those are the three types of guys. Now we're all hoping that we are dealing in this letter that the partner stroke boyfriend is the third guy, the guy that is would accept it because he himself has a standard. And also there is a guy that probably didn't come with the intention of accepting your celibacy, but they respect you and love you so deeply that they're prepared to respect that, and they won't go and sleep with other women whilst they're just those sort of men with that much integrity, or who fall in love with you so deeply that they honor you and honor your purity and your desire to be pure, even though it's not something that they came to the table with. They just know that it's something that's important to you, and it's something that they need to sort of respect. So, that is still the third category guy. Now, these are things that, as a celibate woman in celibate territory, you need to be aware of. So in answer to really the question, you would really tell the person, I think it's something that you can't keep under wraps for too long. I wouldn't go past the third date without disclosing personally. I feel that, and when I say the third date, I'm not saying you have to wait till the third date. What I am saying is I have met women that disclose too soon. You have to understand that a man doesn't walk across the room or make the effort to speak to you just to get to know your personality. Sex is a very big motivator for men, and it's really what motivates them to actually speak to you first and foremost. They have to fancy you, and they have to want that they're propelled and compelled by their sexual desire. It doesn't mean that they don't see you as a lady or that they don't respect you, but it's the thing that compels them. So the reason he is here talking to you is because he has a desire for you. So in that instance, what I would say is that, when men will, by instinct and by nature, always test that sexual boundary, they want to know where they are on the scale, because they understand being wanted from a sexual perspective. We understand being wanted from an emotional perspective. So when a guy sits there and listens to us and asks us questions and wants to get to know who we are, we feel that he wants us. But when we show sexual interest in a guy, that's how he knows we want him. So he will always push that boundary. He will always press against that boundary. And I believe that the minute that things start to get, I think the moment, things start to get, or expectations start to be, I remember a situation where the guy was like, yeah, I'm just so glad that I might actually finally have a girlfriend and do all those fun things like going away for the weekend and, sleeping naked by the fire or whatever. I kind of knew, like, player. I was like, not girlfriend, baby, wife. But I didn't disclose that because he was just airing his thoughts. Now, had I decided to pursue that relationship past that conversation, and we had got to a point where, maybe he's coming in for the first kiss, or things are getting a bit kind of, hands are going places, then that's the point in which I would sort of say to him, I don't have sex with men and that I'm not married to. That's the point that I would say that. Now, a guy that is heterosexual and was not planning to hear that, you have to be prepared that he's not gonna like it. He's not gonna be happy. He's not gonna be happy at all. Okay, but don't try and persuade him. Don't try and talk him down and try and explain your position. Just say to him, look, I understand, but that's just my position. Okay, and let him go and sulk or whatever it is to do. And if he comes back, then you know that he understands the rules of engagement. And then, you need to be clear about what your expectations are during that time. It's not a chance for him to have girls on the side, or, it's time for him to really commit with you in preparation, in kind of in the journey to get to know you as a person and not be kind of, busy somewhere else. However, you can't dictate what a man does when he's not around you. And if you try to do that, you're going to meddle with your mental health. Okay, so we don't want to get crazy. I just feel that it's important for you to focus on what's going on with you. And if you feel that the connection is real and it's deepening, then focus on that. Don't try and manage or control him. It's up to him to, because the truth will always come to the light. If he's messing around or doing other things, it will always come to the light. But I think that disclosing at a point where things he knows enough about you, he understands you and would want to get to know you better, rather than, it's not something that I would greet somebody with. I wouldn't be like, oh, hi, you fancy me? Well, I'd go on a date with you, but I just need to let you know I'm celibate. Like, I wouldn't do that. I think you have to give the other person an opportunity to get to know you and to decide, to make a fair decision, because they can't decide if they're prepared to take that journey with you, because that journey can be 6 months, it can be a year, it can be 2 years. I know couples have gone for 7, whatever, long periods of time, and somebody has to feel like there's enough there for them to be prepared to want to do it. So I would say that, that is the way that you should handle that. Tell him, as soon as possible, because obviously at this point, Linda, he's already asked you to be his girlfriend, which might also mean that is when he's hoping that you're gonna deliver the goods. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, is before you say yes, you would have. Really, in my mind, when he asked you to be his girlfriend, if you hadn't already disclosed, I would have, at that point said, I'd love to be your girlfriend, but I need you to know that I am celibate, and, I am only going to, have sex when I'm married to somebody. So if that changes things for you, that's absolutely fine. An important thing is, like, it's really important that the other person knows before they invest too much money, time, effort, and emotions, but not too soon that they make no investment at all. And sometimes we're tempted to do things too soon or too whatever, but it's finding that balance, and that point where it's a good time to say, hey, look, it's not going down. Ain't that gonna party, baby? Okay, so I hope that helps. I hope you enjoy this video. So yes, check me out on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and I will see you soon on Instagram and Facebook. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, make sure you check me out at getthering.co.uk. All the details will be in the description box. Take care of you. Love you lots.